Let's get dangerous.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo!
Thunder! 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 Thundercats! Ho!
It's a Gundam!
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe!
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman!
Welcome to Toon Travel. Hello, and you're listening to Toon Travel. I'm Paul Siebert.
And I'm Faith Casto.
And we are back from winter break. We've had a little bit of a holdup because last week there was a Class 3 doomstorm. For those of us who aren't in the United States or are listening to this months later on WMUL, maybe we should bring our listeners up to speed. It was bad last week.
It was very bad.
Yeah, I parked my car at the bottom of the hill, and it is still, a week later, still iced over. So I have had quite a bit of trouble getting in and out.
There's been several falls all over campus and in my hometown.
Oh no.
And people's cars, especially yours, I suppose, has been stuck to the ground because of all the ice that we've had.
Yeah, I parked because I have a pass from the bookstore. I parked in the employee parking lot this morning and it is still iced over.
Oh, wow, yeah.
But for those of you who have not listened to our show before, Faith and I have a time machine called the TOON, that's Temporal Observation, an orbital navigation machine, and we are traveling through time and cataloging the cartoons of the past, as well as cartoon-adjacent media. We are also trying to escape our terrifying and increasingly stupid present.
Yep.
But we took a little time off to do a little maintenance on the TOON, and during the winter break, I was just wondering, was there any particular media, TV, movies, video games that you consumed over the winter break?
I played a lot of Minecraft, that's for sure, and I'm trying to think of movies. I actually did watch WALL-E over break. Not the first time I've watched it. It's been a while since I've watched it, though. But I love WALL-E. It's one of my favorite childhood movies. And I've recently got to watch Iron Lung, which is a movie that Markiplier made based on a video game. It was very interesting, I'll say that.
I understand it's a surprise hit at the box office.
Oh yeah, it was #1 at the box office for, I believe, 2 days in a row?
Yeah. Well, during my winter break, I got a video game called UFO 50, and it is a collection of 50 retro-style video games done in the style of early PC games and the NES.
That's interesting.
There are shooter games, which I'm terrible at. There's Metroidvania-style games. One of the games is a homage to Super Dodgeball on the NES, which I'm a huge fan of. But my favorite is Grimstone. And that one is a role-playing game done in the style of the original Final Fantasy or Dragon Warrior, which we now call Dragon Quest, on the NES, and it is set in a fantasy version of the Old West.
That's interesting.
Yes, and interesting thing is, because, again, it's a collection of 50 games, and each game has like a mock history. It is set in the same world as another game in the collection called Rail Heist, where you go around robbing trains, and you have only one bullet, and you have to outwit all these guards.
That's cool.
Yes. So, Faith, I was just wondering, what is your experience with My Little Pony?
I grew up watching what is known as the Gen 5 version of My Little Pony, which is Generation 5, I guess. Magic is Friendship, that kind of thing. I loved My Little Pony. I still do, but I know the one that we watched for this episode was what my mom grew up with, so it's interesting to see what she grew up with.
Oh, that's sweet. Well, Faith, I didn't watch a lot of My Little Pony growing up because it was a girls' show, but I remember watching this special with my sister, and it really stuck out with for me for a number of reasons. She
Mhm.
also rented the original My Little Pony movie a few times, and I later discovered I actually think it's Gen 4, but I got some notes to check, but Friendship is Magic.
Mhm.
And, I was actually sort of on the ground floor when it became the biggest thing among nerd culture and developed like this crazy fandom.
Yeah.
And, but it's interesting about how it's managed to stick around and persevere and become this multimedia juggernaut. But first, we need to talk about our defunct sponsor. And each episode, we are sponsored by a product that no longer exists because I keep setting up these podcasting sponsorship deals while we're time traveling.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to set it up here because first I have to explain what a smartphone is. I say, oh, it's basically a computer that you fit in your pocket. And they ask, what do you use it for? And I say, podcasts and beaming bad news directly into your eyeballs. Normally, when we talk about the headlines, I try to keep things light. I stick to news and entertainment for a reason.
Yeah.
And because this is a fun show, we try to avoid dark things like wars and crime. And I really screwed up, Faith. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, our sponsor this episode is Entertech Water Guns.
The AK Centerfire automatic water weapon, batteries not included, with up to 30 feet of firing power, an extra clip for reloading, a shoulder strap for moving out. There's also the M16 rifle, the sidekick pistol, the RPG rocket water launcher, the AK Centerfire.
My goodness.
Have you heard of Entertech?
I don't believe I have.
Okay, they were a line of water guns that were
Mhm.
marketed about how real they looked, and their slogan was the look, the feel, the sound so real.
Interesting.
And people got shot by cops who thought they were real guns.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we're talking like, I don't know what the figures are, but it was like as dangerous as ChatGTP.
Right. Did anyone ever actually get injured from that?
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, and there's a reason that if you go to the toy gun aisle in Target or Walmart or whatever, I almost said Toys R Us, but they may be a future defunct sponsor.
Maybe so.
There's a reason they're all like neon orange now.
Mm-hmm.
But it gets a little darker. You see, Entertech was a subset of the toy line LJN, and the company made a whole bunch of different toys, including the original WWF action figures. And they also had a laser tagging competitor called Photon, and a line of paintball guns called Gotcha. And those proved very controversial because there was an animal testing scandal.
Oh, that's no good.
Yeah, to prove that their paint guns were safe, they tested them on bunnies.
That is so sad.
I know. It's bad enough that we test cosmetics on live animals, but can you just imagine being a animal that's dedicated their life to science, and this is what happens? You get shot with a paint gun.
Yeah, that can't be too good.
And I can't imagine it's good for the person holding the paint gun. I am not a religious man, but like, if I was asked to do that, I'm thinking, I am going to hell.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't imagine just being sent into a room and the person's like, yeah, so I'm gonna have to have you shoot this paint gun at this little bunny.
Yes. All right. Now, on a happier note, I grabbed a newspaper back when we were in 1984.
Mm-hmm.
And on April 5th, 1984, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar set a new NBA scoring record of 31,419 points. The previous record had been scored by Wilt Chamberlain, and the game was actually paused to acknowledge Jabbar's achievement. Kareem would continue to play and rack up more points until he retired in 1989 with a record of 38,387 points. And do you know who broke his record?
I do not.
That would be LeBron James in 2023.
Huh. That's one of the ones I would have thought.
All right. Now, on April 9th, the 56th Academy Awards was held. Terms of Endearment, a drama directed by James L. Brooke, was took home 5 awards that night, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Robert Duvall, Best Actress, Shirley MacLaine, Best Supporting Actor, Jack Nicholson, and Best Adapted Screenplay. So a real home run for Terms of Endearment.
Oh, wow.
And speaking of home runs, on April 13th, Montreal's Expos infielder Pete Rose became the first player to achieve 4,000 hits in his career. Rose was infamously banned from the Hall of Fame due to a gambling scandal a few years later, but these days he probably could have landed a lucrative endorsement with DraftKings.
Yeah, maybe so.
And for the weekend of April 13th through April 15th, the #1 film in America was Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter. The 4th installment of the popular horror franchise was planned to be the final one, but like any good movie monster, Jason just couldn't stay dead. While the cast included Corey Feldman and Judy Anderson, the real star of the show was Tom Savini's makeup effects. Savini agreed to do the movie on the condition that he would be allowed to kill off Jason, but not even the Sultan of Splatter could keep Jason down for very long.
I actually have never watched any of the Friday the 13th movies after the first one.
Oh, so that was pre-Jason then.
Mm-hmm.
Though he has a little cameo at the end. But now, do you know what film they brought Jason back in?
I'm not sure.
It was part 6.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, part 5 was about an imposter Jason named Roy, and people were actually furious. They were walking out of the movie theater and they were like, "Who's this Roy guy? Where's Jason?" All right, so let's talk a little bit about My Little Pony. Introduced in 1981 under the name My Pretty Pony, the toy line was created for a Hasbro by Bonnie Zachary. The toys line's name was changed a year later. And Zachary suggested that they do a line of toy horses because she wanted a horse growing up. And she had to fight long and hard to get the toy company executives to agree on this.
A good reason to fight, at least.
Yeah. Running from 1982 until 1992, the line of miniature horses would sell 150 million toys over the course of a decade.
That's impressive.
There would be 2 television specials that served as television pilots. 1984's Rescue at Midnight Castle, which was later released on home video as Firefly's Adventure, and 1985's Escape from Katrina. This would be followed by 1986's theatrical release, My Little Pony the Movie. 1986 would also see the debut of a syndicated television block called My Little Pony and Friends. So the movie actually came out before the full TV series.
Interesting.
Other segments on the hour-long block would include Glow Friends, Moon Dreamers, and Potato Head Kids. The block was animated by Sunbow Animation, that also did the original G.I. Joe, and produced by Marvel Productions, which also produced Muppet Babies, and Little Shop. We talked about a little bit of them in our Halloween episode.
Mm-hmm.
The block would air for 2 years, and a total of 65 MLP episodes were produced. My Little Pony would return to television in 1992 with a series called My Little Pony Tales, which confusingly moved the ponies from a fantasy kingdom to a suburban high school environment. The series would land for 26 episodes. And it's kind of interesting that they launched that right as the original toy line was dying down.
Yeah.
The toy line would get a Generation 2 relaunch from 1997 until 1999, and a Generation 3 launch that ran from 2003 until 2009. 9 direct-to-video animated specials were released to promote the Generation 3 toys, and there was even a live musical stage show called The World's Biggest Tea Party in 2006 that featured some really creepy-looking costumes.
I think I've seen those before.
Yeah, apparently only the front legs move, and you got to wonder how the actor moves around inside of them. They look terrifying.
Yeah.
So 2010 would see the release of Generation 4 with My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, developed for television by Lauren Faust, who also worked on the awesome Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. The show would run for a total of 221 episodes over 9 seasons. There was a tie-in comic book, which ran for 102 issues, a trading card game, and a 2017 theatrical film. There were also 2 spin-off series, My Little Pony Equestria Girls and My Little Pony Pony Life, and the comic book would actually have a crossover with Transformers.
Oh.
Yes, it was.
Now, I didn't know that, but I
Yes.
knew about all the other things.
Which brings us to Generation 5, which would debut in 2021 with Netflix's My Little Pony, A New Generation. And this was followed by the Netflix series My Little Pony, Make Your Mark, which ran from 2022 to 2024. And finally, in 2025, a live-action film based on the franchise was announced to be in development.
Live action?
Yes, I presume that the ponies are going to be CGI.
Probably. I didn't really like the G5. I actually grew up with G4, which I made the mistake of saying G5 originally. I grew up with G4, and then my brother and I actually watched, I think, the movie that started G5's. I guess, Rain. It was not good, guys.
Well, I haven't seen that. I watched a lot of the early seasons of G4, but I sort of fell off, and I've missed the G5 stuff, so...
You're not missing much.
Well, this pilot, Rescue at Midnight Castle, had some notable voice actors. Sandy Duncan starred as Firefly and Medley. Sandy Duncan is a Broadway stage actress best known for her performance as Peter Pan. She has also dabbled in live-action movies like The $1 Million Duck and Cat from Outer Space, and voice acting. She was also in such animated films as The Fox and the Hound and The Swan Princess.
Ooh, those were good.
We also have Tony Randall as the Mood Chick. Randall is an Emmy Award-winning actor, best known for his performance as Felix Unger in the television series The Odd Couple. Randall is also an accomplished Broadway actor and singer, and he also somehow wound up on Richard Nixon's enemy list.
Oh.
Yeah, he was very much a archetypical Hollywood liberal, but that's still a bit much.
Yeah.
Charlie Adler was Spike. Adler is an accomplished voice actor, best known for Buster Bunny in the original Tiny Toon Adventures and Ickis in Nickelodeon's A Real Monsters. Laura Dean was Twilight, Bow Tie, and Cotton Candy. Dean is most famous for being a puppeteer who has worked on Sesame Street for a long time and is the voice of Prairie Dawn. Ron Taylor was cast as Scorpan. Taylor is an actor, singer, and Broadway performer, most famous for being the voice of the plant in the 1982 off-Broadway production of Little Shop of Horrors.
That's neat.
And finally, you got Victor Caroli as Tirak. Caroli worked as the narrator on the original Transformers animated series and the 1986 Transformers the movie. And basically, anytime they had a 2-part episode of Transformers, he was the guy that would go, previously on Transformers.
That's neat. I will say, I found it interesting that some of the older characters like Tirak and Spike were in like the G4 My Little Pony, because Tirak does end up coming back as another enemy in G4 in later seasons.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It all started here at My Little Pony, Rescue at Midnight Castle. It first aired on April 14th, 1984, and it was written by George Arthur Bloom and directed by John Gibbs.
Isn't the world a lovely place? My little pony, my little pony. Everywhere you go, a smiling face. Running and skipping, merrily tripping, watching the morning unfold. My little pony, my little pony. What does the future hold?
Starring Sandy Duncan and Tony Randall.
We open up with two Pegasi, Pegapeople?
Pegasi, I think.
Yes. Firefly and Medley sliding down a rainbow as if it was a water slide and landing in a river at the bed of a waterfall. We get a big montage set to the My Little Pony theme song of ponies frolicking around and having fun. And the song pauses to let us know that Sandy Duncan and Tony Randall are given top billing. We see a group of ponies jumping across a ravine, except for Twilight, who uses her unicorn magic to do a teleportation. A young pony named Ember does the dangerous jump and almost doesn't make it, but gets rescued by our heroine, Firefly. Firefly does a trick called a inside-out double loop, and Medley says it's dangerous, but Firefly says that danger is her life. Firefly ends up crashing into Applejack, who looks very much like her My Little Pony Friendship is Magic counterpart.
She really does.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if Firefly, they based Rainbow Dash after her.
Actually, they did. In the original pitch for Friendship and Magic, they had Firefly, but for whatever reasons, it might have been a rights issue regarding the name.
Maybe so.
They used Rainbow Dash. And Rainbow Dash in the G3 materials, that's where she was introduced, but she was a completely different pony.
Yeah, she was like, I think I do remember a little bit of G3, and I believe that she was British, actually.
Yeah,
or something like that.
She was an earth pony, and she was sort of a fashionista, a little bit like Rarity.
Yeah, that's what I've seen before.
So
she was a little diva.
Yeah. So anyway, Applejack is carrying these apples, and Firefly ends up crashing her, and applesauce gets splattered everywhere, and Applejack just starts straight up licking applesauce off of another pony. I don't know how the internet would react to this today.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was thinking. I was like, that's interesting.
We cut to Ember talking to Twilight about what she'll do when she grows up, and it's very cute, but suddenly the clouds turn dark, and things begin to storm, and suddenly these giant, hideous dragons called Stratodons begin attacking. They start capturing ponies, and this gargoyle named Scorpion appears to the ponies and says in this deep, ominous voice that they're all doomed and soon will belong to Tirak, the master of Midnight Castle. And I have to say, there's a bit of mood whiplash to start this special.
For sure.
Firefly decides to fly off and find help, and the other ponies warn her that it's too dangerous, but she flies off anyway, and we cut to Midnight Castle, which has a very cool design. It looks like a heavy metal album cover, where Scorpion is locking away the ponies. There's a baby dragon named Spike there, and he's begging to go on the next mission, but Scorpion refuses for his own good. So even though he's working for the bad guys, we get the insinuation that Scorpion might not be all bad. Scorpion meets with our real villain, Tirak, who has a sinister voice and is stroking a bag, which is beating like a heart. Tirak berates Scorpion for only capturing 2 ponies when he needs 4 to pull his chariot. We don't know why they need ponies or why the Stratodons can't do it, because they look pretty big and scary and strong. Spike tries to speak up for Scorpion, but Tirak will have none of it. And I should note that 80s cartoon villains tend to have a comical side or some comic relief henchmen, and Tirak is just straight up terrifying.
Honestly, yeah.
So Tirak orders Scorpion to make another raid, and though he is hidden in shadow, we see a cloven hoof coming from his leg, implying that he is not human. So we Cut to a human girl named Megan who's taking care of a horse named TJ. Suddenly, Firefly collides with a weather vane and winds up crashing into a well. Megan rescues her, and upon realizing she's talking to a horse, has her mind blown. Despite having figuratively known her for seconds, Firefly decides Megan is the person she needs to rescue the other ponies. Megan rides Firefly as she starts flying, and we get a musical number about how the ponies will be dancing on air when they meet Megan as Firefly tries to convince her to help, and it's very cute.
Mm-hmm.
Megan and Firefly arrive at Dream Castle, playset and figures sold separately. The Stratodons attack and grab Megan. Firefly uses her double inside-out loop to trick the Stratodons into dropping Megan, but the problem with that is they drop Megan from very high.
Yeah.
She gets rescued by Scorpan, of all people. He warns her that this battle isn't hers. Megan will have none of it and calls Scorpan a monster, and Megan vows to save her new friend somehow. Back at Midnight Castle, all the ponies are lashed up. Tirak points out that Ember is too small to pull his chariot and admonishes Scorpan for failing again. Tirak steps out of the shadows, and he's a terrifying centaur Satan. He opens his magic bag, which transforms the ponies into dragons, but not the same dragons as Spike or Stratodons. I guess Tirak needs a very specific kind of dragon.
I reckon so.
Tirak warns Scorpan that if he doesn't get a fourth pony by midnight, he's going to decapitate Spike. And remember, this is a show for tiny children.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Tirak popped up in the Generation 4 of My Little Pony, but I don't think he ever threatened to decapitate anybody.
He honestly didn't. I mean, he threatened to take over Equestria, but I think that was about it.
Meanwhile, Megan and the ponies are looking for someone called the Mood Chick and crossing a rickety bridge over a raging river. Applejack falls over the bridge, and Megan dives in to rescue her. A giant clam tries to eat them, but who should show up but the sea ponies? Shooby-doo, shooby-doo, who summon a giant bubble around Megan and Applejack. They sing this very upbeat little doo-wop song to introduce themselves, and they give Megan a magic seashell to call them if they ever need her help again. Our heroes wander into a forest with giant mushrooms, and they meet the Moochek, who's this weird little gnome guy with the voice of Tony Randall. He informs them that Tirak is trying to bring about the night that never ends, and they must swipe away the rainbow of darkness that gives him his power. The only thing that can stop the rainbow of darkness is the rainbow of light, and he happens to have a little piece of one. Problem is, he can't remember where it is. The Moochek goes into a musical number about how he can't find it. He has a rabbit assistant who keeps trying to help him, but it turns out the rabbit has it in a necklace in his pocket. They gave it to Megan, and it should be noted that this special actually re-aired in a condensed form on My Little Pony and Friends, and they cut out the Moochek's musical number.
I can't believe they'd do it.
Yeah, they went to all the trouble of hiring a big-name actor, Tony Randall, and in that version of the special, his appearance is basically, hi, bye.
That's insane.
Our heroes arrive at Midnight Castle, which has a raging river outside it. Megan summons the sea ponies to get them across the water. They use a giant seashell as a raft, and they pull it across the water, but the guards see him and inform Tirak. Tirak reminds Scorpan that if he doesn't have a pony by midnight, Spike's head will roll. Scorpan decides to bail. Spike is in a cell with Ember, and Scorpan rips the door off and prepares to flee the castle. Megan and the ponies are lost in the castle. A guard grabs Applejack. The others find themselves in Tirak's throne room. Tirak appears and gloats. He turns Applejack into a dragon. Scorpan opens up the room and briefly does a face turn, body slamming guard, and tells the ponies to run. He then pulls Megan to safety as they flee the guards. Tirak bursts out of the castle on his dragon-pulled chariot and prepares to usher in the night that never ends. Scorpan tries to stop him and gets tossed aside pretty easily. Megan hops in on Firefly's back, and they knock the bag carrying the Rainbow of Darkness out of Tirak's grip. The ponies play keep away at the guards with the bag. The guards seemingly trap Twilight, but she teleports away. And did Twilight look familiar? Because actually, one neat thing they did in Friendship is Magic, in one episode in a flashback, they used G1 Twilight's design as Twilight Sparkle's mother.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, they give the bag to Firefly, who tries to fly away with it, but she crashes into a Stratocaster and drops the bag, in which Tirak catches. When all seems lost, Megan notices that the necklace is glowing. Megan opens it up, and a tiny little rainbow pops out. It looks very puny. Tirak laughs and unleashes the Rainbow of Darkness, which absorbs the Rainbow of Light. The Rainbow of Light, however, absorbs the Rainbow of Darkness and wraps itself around Tirak. Suddenly there's a big explosion, and Tirak is blown to smithereens.
Dun, dun, dun.
He is dead. The Stratocasters turn back into butterflies, the guards turn into bluebirds, and the ponies turn back to normal. And it turns out that Scorpan's true form was a prince who got turned into a monster when Scorpan took over his kingdom. Spike, however, doesn't change because he was always a little baby dragon. And our special ends with a reprise of the My Little Pony theme song as Firefly takes Megan home. The end. So, what did you, as a G4 fan, what did you think of this special?
I honestly thought it was really charming. It was cute, and I kind of liked the simplicity of it because with G4, you kind of focus on the fact that there are, like, alicorns, which is both a unicorn and Pegasus combined, which, like, makes them princesses. And I don't think that's a thing with this, like, original My Little Pony. And I think the simplicity of it was something that I enjoyed.
I enjoyed the simplicity of it. I enjoyed it because of you had that sudden tone whiplash where you have this very cutesy sugar bowl opening, and then all of a sudden we have these terrifying dragons and a gargoyle and this castle that looks like a heavy metal album cover.
Yeah, that was something that I found interesting.
And it is very, very, I mean, they have villains in the other My Little Pony cartoons of this era, but usually they got some comic relief. There has never been a cartoon villain quite as scary as Tirak.
Yeah, he's really just straight to the point with it.
Yes, again, we got a G4 version of Tirak who goes around stealing magic and manipulating people and trying to take over Equestria, but he's not that bad compared to this version.
Yeah, he doesn't even have a cloak.
So, Faith, it's time for a game show.
Woohoo!
We're going to cue up the game show music. And we're going to play a game called My Little Pink Pony Club.
Oh?
Yes, this game is going to be very simple. I'm going to give you a name, and you tell me whether it belongs to a My Little Pony character or an exotic dancer.
Oh, okay.
You get 3 correct, and you win.
Alrighty.
So our first name is Sunny Days.
I think that's a My Little Pony.
Correct. Introduced in the Series 3, Sunny Days is an earth pony with a white body and a yellow, pink, and orange purple striped hair. Her cutie mark is an orange and pink smiling sun surrounded by purple clouds.
How cute.
All right. Our next name is Blaze Star.
I think that's an exotic dancer.
Correct. Blaze Star is a famous burlesque dancer who became infamous for having an affair with Louisiana Governor Earl Long.
Oh, wow.
A movie called Blaze, based off her memoir, was released in 1989, starring Lolita Davidovich and Paul Newman. All right. Number 3, Goldie Delicious.
That sounds like an exotic dancer.
Goldie Delicious is a minor character from My Little Pony Friendship is Magic.
Huh.
She is a cousin of Applejack's Granny Smith. She's an older, blonde earth pony whose cootie mark is an apple tree.
Oh, yeah, I remember that now.
All right. Number 4, Tempest Storm.
I think that's... I want to say it's a My Little Pony.
Ooh. Dubbed the Queen of Exotic Dancers, Tempest Storm was a burlesque stage dancer whose career spanned over 60 years. She acted and appeared in such films as French Peeps Show, Paris After Midnight, and Striptease Girl. She is not to be confused with Tempest Shadow, who was the antagonist of the 2017 My Little Pony, the movie.
Right, because I thought there was a Tempest. That's what threw me off about it.
All right, so you're 2-2. Got one more name and one chance of winning this. Octavia Melody.
That's a My Little Pony.
Correct. A minor character from My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. She is a gray earth pony with a pink treble clef cutie mark who plays the cello.
She's like... I want to say she was like famous there for a while.
Yeah, she got a lot of fan art, and people often paired her with the DJ pony.
Oh, yeah.
Who I believe her name is Vinyl Scratch.
Something like that. Sounds familiar.
All right. So, Faith, do you have any final thoughts on this My Little Pony special?
Overall, I think this was a pretty good episode.
Yeah, I liked this special a lot. I watched just a little bit of the My Little Pony and Friends series. I don't like it quite as much. I think they sanded the scary edges off.
Yeah.
But I was wondering, do you have any updates on Diary of a College Student?
So I will be starting the pilot episode here soon. I just have to figure out what time I actually want to do it, but it'll be coming out soon. And I actually have some ideas towards future episodes for it as well.
All right, that sounds great. I'm going to be keeping on with this show, and also I've been putting some thought into our next episode, and I was thinking of doing a sports-themed cartoon.
Oh.
And we may have a special guest star, still trying to set some stuff up.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that is about all the time we have. Stay tuned, fellow travelers.
We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.